Chelsea entered the 2024-25 season starting another new era, with Enzo Maresca now in charge of the team. Last season ended up being the sole year under the stewardship of former boss Mauricio Pochettino, who was sacked after an up-and-down campaign. He was axed despite a late rally which saw Chelsea finish 6th in the Premier League to claim a European spot, while they also fell just short in the EFL Cup final, losing in extra time to Liverpool, and later made the FA Cup semi-finals. Cole Palmer was Chelsea's top goal scorer last season, and Maresca will hope the attacking midfielder can repeat the stunning form he showed in his debut season after signing from Manchester City. England international Palmer, who also went on to score against Spain in the Euro 2024 final, finished the club campaign with a superb 25 goals in all competitions and was rewarded with a new contract. Palmer scored 22 of those goals in the Premier League, which saw him finish second only to former Man City teammate Erling Haaland in England's top-flight Golden Boot race. Nicholas Jackson netted 17 goals to finish second to Palmer in the Chelsea goal rankings. Raheem Sterling, 10, was the only other Blues player to reach double figures, but he was allowed to leave by Maresca, with the forward joining rivals Arsenal on loan. Having a player in prolific goal-scoring form like Palmer was a welcome change for Chelsea. His winning tally was a vast improvement from the 2022-23 campaign, when none of their players were able to reach 10 goals. Christopher Nkunku is also likely to be a huge threat in the top scorer race this season, if he can stay injury-free after enduring a heavily disrupted debut season having signed from RB Leipzig. Joao Felix, Jadon Sancho, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, Pedro Neto and Marc Guiu were among the attacking signings made by Maresca for the new season, and they may also compete to top the club's scoring standings. This page will be updated with Chelsea's top scorers in the Premier League and all competitions after every match day this season. Chelsea, Premier League top scorers 2024-25. Chelsea have scored 58 goals in their 33 Premier League matches so far in the 2024-25 season. Having netted 14 of those strikes, Cole Palmer is Chelsea's top goal scorer in the Premier League this campaign. Nicholas Jackson is close behind with 9, while Noni Madueke has scored 7 goals in the English top flight this season. Player goals: Cole Palmer 14, Nicholas Jackson 9, Noni Madueke 7, Enzo Fernandez 5, Marc Cucurella 4, Pedro Neto 4, Jadon Sancho, Christopher Nkunku, Joao Felix 1, Moises Caicedo 1, Axel Disasi 1, Reece James 1, Levi Colwill 1, Tosin Adarabioyo 1, Tyreek George 1. Own goals by the opposition 2. Chelsea didn't score in their first match of the season as Erling Haaland and Mateo Kovacic netted for Man City in a 2-0 win for the Premier League champions at Stamford Bridge. However, the Blues responded emphatically in their second Premier League game, thrashing Wolves 6-2 at Molineux. Noni Madueke scored a hat-trick, with every one of those strikes set up by Cole Palmer. Palmer scored a stunning strike himself, and also on target were Nicholas Jackson and, on his second debut for the club, Joao Felix. MD3 saw Chelsea draw 1-1 at home to Crystal Palace. Jackson scored for the second straight game after being set up by Palmer, but Eberechi has equalized for the visitors in the second half. Christopher Nkunku came off the bench to earn Chelsea a last-gasp 1-0 win at Bournemouth on match day 4. It was the forward's first EPL goal of the season, and it was a valuable goal in a match where goalkeeper Robert Sanchez had earlier saved a penalty from Evan Nilsson. There was a more convincing away win for Chelsea in their 5th league match. The Blues cruised to a 3-0 victory at West Ham, with 2 early goals from Jackson setting them on the way and Palmer making sure of the points in the second half. Palmer was the star of the show as Chelsea thumped Brighton 4-2 on MD6. The England international scored a staggering 4 goals before half-time. It was the second time Palmer has struck 4 times in a single top-flight game in the calendar year of 2024, having also netted a quadruple at home against Everton in April. Palmer hit the post when Chelsea played Nottingham Forest at Stamford Bridge on MD7, but he could not add to his stunning 4-goal feat. It was Madueke who got the goal for the Blues, his first since that MD2 hat-trick at Wolves, to equalise Chris Wood's opener for Forest. In their first game after the October international break, Chelsea suffered a 2-1 defeat to Liverpool, with Jackson netting his fifth league goal of the campaign to no avail. However, they bounced back with a narrow 2-1 win over Newcastle United on 27th of October. Jackson and Palmer were both on the scoresheet. Chelsea and Man United played out a 1-1 draw at Old Trafford on 3rd of November, with a rare Moises Caicedo strike sealing a hard-fought point. The Blues played out another 1-1 draw against Arsenal the following weekend, with Pedro Neto scoring his first Premier League goal for Chelsea to cancel out a Gabriel Martinelli strike. The first game after the international break saw Nicholas Jackson and Enzo Fernandez score in a 2-1 win over Leicester. Both players scored again versus Aston Villa, while Palmer netted the third with a stunning effort from outside the penalty area. A few days later, on 4th of December, Chelsea dismantled 10-man Southampton 5-1 thanks to goals from Axel Disasi, Nkunku, Madueke, Palmer, and Jadon Sancho. The Blues then came back from 2-0 down to beat Tottenham away 4-3, with Palmer scoring 2 penalties and Enzo Fernandez and Jadon Sancho also netting. Marc Cucurella then scored his first goal of the season to open the scoring against Brentford, before Nicholas Jackson netted to secure all 3 points. However, Chelsea's good form hit a roadblock as the Blues were held to a 0-0 against Everton, before they lost 2-1 to Fulham. Palmer opened the scoring with a brilliant solo goal versus Marco Silva's side, but Chelsea conceded 2 late goals. Chelsea subsequently also suffered the shock 2-0 defeat to Ipswich Town in their final game of 2024, while 2025 didn't start too much better as they were held 1-1 by Crystal Palace, a game in which Palmer scored the Blues' goal. The club's poor form continued with a 2-2 draw against Bournemouth on 14th of January. Palmer opened the scoring with a stunning finish, but goals from Justin Kluivert and Antoine Semenyo put Bournemouth ahead, before Reece James salvaged a point with a stoppage-time free kick. Chelsea returned to winning ways in a Monday night clash with Wolves on 20th of January as goals from Tosin Adarabioyo, Cucurella and Madueke sealed a 3-1 victory. However, Maresca's side came unstuck again following Saturday as they lost 3-1 to Man City despite taking an early lead through Noni Madueke, who pounced on a mistake from Abdelkader Kusanov on his debut. The Blues then bounced back against West Ham in another Monday night game, coming from 1-0 down to win 2-1. Pedro Neto netted before Cole Palmer forced Aaron Wan-Bissaka into an own goal 10 minutes later. Chelsea were in crisis mode after getting knocked out of the FA Cup by Brighton, and their form slump continued when they faced the Seagulls again in the league a few days later. Fabian Hürzeler's side strolled to a 3-0 win. The following week, Chelsea looked set for a good result against Aston Villa after an early Enzo Fernandez goal, but a second-half brace from Marco Asensio condemned the Blues to another defeat. A visit from rock-bottom Southampton provided a welcome reprieve for the struggling Blues, and Chelsea comfortably took care of business, winning 4-0 thanks to goals from Nkunku, Neto, Levi Colwill, and Cucurella. Cucurella then netted the winner during a 1-0 victory over Leicester City on 9th of March. Chelsea returned to action after the international break with a win over rivals Tottenham in April, thanks to Enzo Fernandez's strike. However, the Blues could not muster more than a scoreless draw against Brentford 3 days later. Another draw followed versus Ipswich on 13th of April, with an own goal from Axel Tuanzebe and a Jadon Sancho strike helping Chelsea recover from a 2-0 half-time deficit. Chelsea returned to winning ways with a 2-1 victory over Fulham thanks to Tyreek George's first Premier League goal and a stoppage-time strike from Pedro Neto. Chelsea top scorers in all competitions 2024-25. As well as the Premier League, a busy season for Chelsea includes them playing in the UEFA Conference League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup and FIFA Club World Cup. Chelsea have played 16 matches outside of the EPL so far, scoring 47 times in total during those fixtures. It means they netted a total of 98 goals from 49 matches in all competitions. Christopher Nkunku, Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson made impressive goal-scoring starts to the campaign and are involved in a competitive battle to take control of first place. Nkunku has 13 goals in all competitions, but just 2 of those strikes have come in the Premier League. He has scored 7 times in the UEFA Conference League and 3 times in the Carabao Cup. Palmer, meanwhile, has netted all of his 14 goals in the league. Chelsea top scorers overall player goals: Cole Palmer 14, Christopher Nkunku 14, Noni Madueke 10, Nicholas Jackson 9, João Felix 7, Marc Cucurella 6, Enzo Fernandez 6, Marc Guiu 6, Pedro Neto 6, Tosin Adarabioyo 4, Kieran Dewsbury Halley Mihailo Mudryk Jadon Sancho Axel Disasi 2, Reece James 2, Renato Veiga 2, Tyreek George 2, Moises Caicedo 1, Levi Colwill 1. Own goals by opponent 3. Christopher Nkunku scored the first Chelsea goal of the season on August 22. He netted a penalty and Noni Madueke also struck as the Blues defeated Servette 2-0 at home in the first leg of their Conference League playoff round tie. Nkunku scored again with a penalty in the second leg, as Chelsea progressed to the Conference League group stage with a 3-2 aggregate win despite losing 2-1 on the night. And it was Nkunku who impressed in a match outside of the Premier League again on September 24, as he netted a hat-trick in the EFL Cup. Chelsea thumped League Two side Barrow 5-0 at home in the third round in a match that also saw Pedro Neto score his first goal for the Blues. Their other strike was a Barrow own goal. A free-scoring season for Chelsea continued on October 3 at home against Gent in the Conference League group stage. Nkunku and Neto were among the goal scorers in a 4-2 win, but most notable were first strikes for the club being netted by both Renato Veiga and Kieran Dewsbury Hall. The Blues then beat Panathinaikos 4-1 in Greece, with Felix, X2, Mudryk and Nkunku all netting. Mere days after beating Newcastle in the Premier League, Chelsea came unstuck against the Magpies in the Carabao Cup, losing 2-0 to a goal from Alexander Isak and an Axel Disasi own goal. An 8-0 thrashing of Armenian side Noah in the Europa Conference League came next, with Axel Disasi, Mihailo Mudryk, João Felix, 2, Christopher Nkunku, 2, Marc Guiu and Tosin Adarabioyo netting. The next Conference League game saw Nkunku and Mudryk score in a 2-0 win at German side Heidenheim before Marc Guiu, X2, and Renato Veiga helped Chelsea win against Astana. Chelsea comfortably beat Shamrock Rovers 5-1 in their next game, with Marc Guiu netting a hat-trick along with goals from Marc Cucurella and Kieran Dewsbury Hall. The goals continued in the FA Cup as Chelsea beat League Two side Morecambe at home in the third round with Tosin Adarabioyo and João Felix both grabbing doubles, while Christopher Nkunku also netted after missing a penalty. However, the run in England's most prestigious cup competition didn't continue much longer as Chelsea were beaten 2-1 by Brighton in the FA Cup fourth round despite an early Bart Verbruggen own goal. Chelsea, however, continued their 100% record in the Europa Conference League with a 2-1 win at Copenhagen in the first leg of the round of 16 with Reece James and Enzo Fernandez scoring before winning the second leg 1-0 thanks to Kieran Dewsbury Hall's winner. The next round saw Chelsea face off against Polish side Legia Warsaw, with a 3-0 win away in the first leg thanks to a brace from Madueke and a first goal for youngster Tyreek George. However, Chelsea lost the second leg at home 2-1, with Marc Cucurella grabbing their only goal, although Maresca's side still progressed to the next round of the Conference League. Chelsea next fixtures. Chelsea's next game is at home to Everton in the Premier League on Saturday 26 April. Chelsea, top scorers by season player goals 2023/24 Cole Palmer 252022/23 Havertz/Sterling, shared 92021/22 Romelu Lukaku 152020/21 Abraham/Werner, Shared 122019/20 Tammy Abraham 182018/19 Eden Hazard 212017/18 Eden Hazard 172016/17 Diego Costa 222015/16 Diego Costa 162014/15 Diego Costa 212013/14 Eden Hazard 172012/13 Fernando Torres 222011/12 Frank Lampard 162010/11 Nicolas Anelka 162009/10 Didier Drogba 372008/09 Nicolas Anelka 252007/08 Frank Lampard 202006/07 Didier Drogba 332005/06 Frank Lampard 202004/05 Frank Lampard 19. The 25 goals scored by Cole Palmer in 2023-24 meant a Chelsea player had netted 20 or more times for the first time in 5 seasons. In 2022-23, a dreadful campaign in front of goal for the Blues meant Kai Havertz and Raheem Sterling finished joint top of the club's goal rankings despite only netting 9 times each. Palmer's tally was in fact the highest Chelsea goal total since Didier Drogba scored a magnificent 37 times back in the 2009-10 season. Drogba, Palmer, Nicolas Anelka and Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink are the only players to have registered a 25-goal season for Chelsea in the Premier League era. The only Chelsea player to have reached 40 in a single season is club great Jimmy Greaves, who netted a record 43 goals in the 1960-61 campaign. Palmer will now aim to follow the likes of Diego Costa, Eden Hazard and Tammy Abraham in securing the Chelsea scoring crown in back-to-back seasons. Which Chelsea players have won the Premier League Golden Boot? Chelsea players have won the Premier League Golden Boot on 4 separate occasions, though the feat has only been achieved by 3 separate stars. That is because Didier Drogba was a 2-time EPL Golden Boot winner for Chelsea. Chelsea, EPL Golden Boot winners season winner goals 2009/10 Didier Drogba 292008/09 Nicolas Anelka 192006/07 Didier Drogba 202000/01 Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink 23. As a Leeds United player, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink shared the award with Michael Owen and Dwight York after netting 18 top-flight goals in the 1998-99 season and then won it outright for Chelsea in 2001 with an impressive 23-goal campaign. Chelsea then had to wait a little while for their next winner before having 3 in the space of 4 seasons. Drogba came out on top in 2006-07 with 20 Premier League goals. Cristiano Ronaldo won it for Manchester United the following season, but Nicolas Anelka then hit back for Chelsea, taking the 2008-09 Golden Boot with 19 league goals. It was then Drogba who came out on top in 2009-10, scoring a magnificent 29 goals to secure his second Premier League scoring crown. There have been 14 Premier League seasons since then without a Chelsea winner, so the Blues now trail Liverpool, 7. Arsenal, 6, Man United, 5, and Tottenham, 5, with their total of 4 Golden Boot wins. Frank Lampard enjoyed a prolific career for Chelsea, but was never able to win the EPL Golden Boot. Chelsea all-time top scorers player goals games won. Frank Lampard 2116482, Bobby Tambling 20233703, Kerry Dixon 19344204. Didier Drogba 164381. Frank Lampard is the all-time Chelsea top scorer with 211 goals, a total he reached across 648 matches. The attacking midfielder scored 147 of those goals in the Premier League and 64 across other competitions. Another player from the modern era, Lampard's former teammate Didier Drogba, features prominently in the list at 4th overall with 164 Chelsea goals. Bobby Tambling, 202, was the player Lampard overhauled to get the record in 2013, while Kerry Dixon, 193, rounds out the podium places.